Yeah, welcome back into the channel, New World News. It is Thursday, April 10th, 2025, and that's right, Apple reportedly flying in hundreds of tons of iPhones, as much as 600 tons or 1.5 million iPhones from India to the United States to bypass Donald Trump's tariffs on goods coming in from China, which are as high as, who knows, 100 and some percent. It keeps changing every day. But at $1,000 per phone or more, at even a 30-40% tariff price, you can see how much damage that would be on 1.5 million phones, raising them $30-40 or more. You're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in tariffs. Trump's threatened tariffs of 26% on Indian imports are on hold for about 3 months after the U.S. president called a 90-day pause, but he announced the tariffs on goods from China of at least 145% were effective immediately. A source familiar with the planning behind the move told Reuters that Apple wanted to beat the tariff. India must still pay import taxes under Trump measures, but at the reduced rate of 10%. Analysts have warned iPhone prices could surge after the U.S. imposed its highest tariff on imports from China, with the investment bank UBS estimating an iPhone 16 Pro Max with 256 gigs of storage, which I actually just upgraded to. This is a 16 Pro Max 256, and this was $1,199. $1,200 is the cost of this phone. To nearly $2,000 if Apple passes off the substantial chunk of the tariff costs to the consumer. It will go up $800, almost double the cost for this phone. That is bananas. Who's going to buy a $2,000 phone? So even people saying who buys $1,200 phones, but it makes sense, right? So, and especially as a business owner, this is a $1,200 phone. You trade in my old iPhone and I got like $500 or $600 for it. So the cost of this phone goes from $1,200 to $600, and then you finance it for 2 years. That's only $300 a year. It's only $25 a month to pay for this phone. That's all I'm paying on my plan. So my normal, phone plan might be $79 or $89, and I'm just paying $25, so I'm just paying like $110. It's not a big deal, right? And for me, it's a write-off because this is what I use to record a lot of my business and my videos. So it makes perfect sense. You're paying $1,200 for a phone. Even paying $2,000, it can be done. After my trade-in, I'll be paying $1,400, and then I'll be paying $700 a year over the 2 years. So that's like $60 a month. So, it goes from me paying $25 to $60. So that sucks, but it's still doable. It's just much more expensive, right? Reuters reported that Apple had targeted a 20% increase in production at iPhone plants in India. It did. A lot of people don't even know that they produce in India. It did this by increasing the number of workers and temporarily extending operations at the biggest Foxconn India factory in Chennai to Sundays. The Chennai plant produced 20 million iPhones last year, including the latest iPhone 15 and 16 models. Apple has 3 plants in India operated by Foxconn and Tata. The Wall Street Journal reported this week that Apple planned to send more iPhones to the U.S. from India as a short-term stopgap, while the company attempted to secure an exemption from the China tariffs. If Apple diverted all India-made iPhones to the U.S., it would account for about 50% of American demand this year, according to the Bank of America analyst Wamsi Mohan. Analysts have warned that moving iPhone production to the U.S. would be prohibitively expensive because of factors such as the cost of paying hundreds of thousands of workers. Analysts at Wedbush Securities, a United States financial services company, have said that a U.S.-made iPhone 16 Pro Max with 250 gigs of storage would cost approximately, wait for it, $3,500. That's the cost of producing an iPhone 16. This exact phone that I just paid $1,200 for, that's going to go up to $2,000 with tariffs, would be $3,500 if it was made in this country. That's 3 times the cost. That's pretty nuts. We could make them in New Jersey or Texas or another state, but it would cost $3,500. Apple was not available for comment on this story. So when everybody says buy American and buy American made, it's a fantastic idea, and we'd all love to do it, right? We'd love to support our fellow Americans. We'd love to have manufacturing plants here in the country. However, realistically, the labor cost of what those workers work for in India and China, and this sounds crazy because people call it slave labor, and at those rates, it basically is, but in their country, the money's worth a lot more, so it's not necessarily slave labor as it is just cheap labor. It would cost 3 times as much. And that makes sense because when you think about those people working for $5 an hour, or $6 an hour, or $4 an hour, when you multiply it by 3 at $5 an hour, you got a $15 an hour employee, which is, basically minimum wage here in the United States. Those employees would make more here in the United States, but that's essentially what you're getting. You're taking a minimum wage worker at $5 an hour in another country, you're multiplying it times 3, and you're calling it a minimum wage worker here in the United States. And now we have a 3 times cost phone from $1,200 to $3,500 or $3,600. That's why American made at the price, keeping it affordable is a very, very tough no-win situation. We want to do American, we want to buy American, support American, but we don't want to pay those prices. So what do we do? How do we solve the problem? Do we do tariffs? Do we do manufacturing in America? Do we find different countries who will work with us and be more willing to work with us other than China and India? How do we solve the problem? I'll leave that to you guys in the comment section. I'm interested to hear what you have to say. I don't know the answer. It's above my pay grade, and it's a no-win. It's a catch-22. While you want to support the Americans, we can't afford to support the Americans because of what Americans cost to work. So as always, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you could hit the like button, share this video, and most of all, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds. Come back and watch future videos. Hit that bell. It'll turn on notifications for you so you don't miss future videos. And until next time, thank you everybody for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.